There we go. How is everybody doing tonight? Excited to be here with you guys back again. I know it's been a while since we've done a session like this. It's been a few weeks, but I thought this week is a good time to get back into it. Been working on some stuff in the back end and yeah, just really I actually miss these calls because getting on these sessions, educating, helping you guys understand trading more, looking at different currency pairs together, talking about strategy and things like that, how to give yourself an edge in the market is something that I'm really passionate on. And, it's one of those things, like I said, for those of you guys that have just joined, when you start out inside of trading and when you're trying to learn the skill set and there's all these different things and different educators and scanners and all the different things that you see inside of trading, it's easy to get caught up in that and then see so many different things at once that you want to do, and you see this is working for somebody and that's working for somebody, and even not just in the beginning of your trading journey, but later on as well, it can still get to you, right? And you're trying all these different things and it's not working out, and then you start losing money, or it kind of gets overwhelming, right? And what I want to do today for you guys is break down the importance of having the right mindset when it comes to trading. All right, so let me just share my screen. And before we do so, drop in the chat box where you guys are tuning in from. I would love to see some faces as well. If you guys are in a position to turn on your camera, please do so. That way I feel like I'm not just talking to a wall, and we can have this time together here. But if you're in a position to do so, please turn on your camera and also take some notes, right? Because note takers are money makers. And one thing that has helped me a lot in the last 3 years, going on 4 years this year, is taking notes and diving into the education every single day, right? Looking at the charts every single day. You're not necessarily trading every single day and placing a trade, right? But doing something that's going to help me learn the skill set more and more every single day, right? So what we're going to do, let me just share my screen. If you guys want to keep dropping in the chat where you guys are tuned in from, that way you can see where you guys are located. We got people from all over the world here. And if you guys are in a position to turn on your camera, you can do so as well. But let me just get my screen shared here and then we'll get underway. There we go. Awesome. So can you guys see my screen? Put a 1 in the chat. I see Damon is nodding his head, so that's a yes. You guys can see my screen. I'm just going to wait for this to load here quickly. But one thing I want to say before or while this is loading is, having a proper mindset. The reason why I want to touch on this and why it's so important is once you go through the education that we have inside of Primeverse, the education that we have inside of Revolt, right? Trading is a really simple concept to grasp, right? You look at the chart enough, you're going to start seeing the patterns. You're going to start seeing the strategy. You're going to start seeing all these different things unfolding, right? But the biggest reason why people don't make money, or it takes them an extended period of time to start seeing consistent results inside of trading when they're doing their own trades, right? Obviously, we have tools like Zonar and the inverse fair value gap scanner. We also have the signals chat, right, where you can tap in with the educators and copy and paste exactly what they're doing. There's ways to make money with not knowing 100% everything, right? You're never going to understand everything. But once you start, the most important thing to understand and to follow is when you have the right mindset, things get a lot easier. 90% of traders that lose, the reason why they lose is because they're following or they're trading out of fear. They're trading, they think, oh, I missed out on the big move. I got to get it now because Bitcoin went all the way up here and gold just made new all-time highs and silver's going crazy. I have to jump in. I have to jump in. Right? But what we want to do is take a step back and not give into the fear, understand the market, analyze the market, see what's going on, and give ourselves an educated guess in what the market's going to do. Right? And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I want to be real. I want to be honest with you guys. Not every single trade is going to be a winning trade. Right? That's what I want to just say right before we get into this. Not every trade is going to be a winning trade. You can have the perfect setup. You can have all the confirmations in the world that the market went into your zone. You understand that we're going higher. You can see all these things happening, but the market could still potentially go against you. Right? This isn't because you're a bad trader or you don't understand what you're doing. Sometimes simply the market does what the market wants to do. Right? And that's something that you guys have to understand is trading is part of the journey. That's why we talk about mindset is how do you put yourself into a position where you're not trading off of your feeling, you're trading off of discipline and understanding when to wait or how to wait to get into the next opportunity in the market. All right. So the first thing that I want to touch on here is you have to think like a risk manager, not a gambler. Right? You think like a risk manager, not a gambler. This is something that is so incredibly important because what you're doing as soon as you deposit money into your broker account, right, into PU Prime, you are now managing that money, right? You want to protect your capital as much as possible. That's our only job as traders is to protect the capital that's in our accounts, right? It doesn't matter if it's a demo account and you're practicing and you're trying to learn the strategy, or if you're trading on $100 live that you put into your account, or if it's $100,000 that you have in your account, your goal and your objective every single day and every single trade that you take is to protect the capital that's in your account. Right? This means making sure that you have a stop loss in place, right? In case the market does go against you, you're not losing all of your capital, all of the money that's in your account. You're only risking a certain percentage or a certain dollar amount that's in your account, right? Very, very important is we're not here to gamble. We're not here to make money quick. We're here to learn a skill set that's going to help us make money for the rest of our lives, right? Trading, it can be very easy to understand strategies and understand certain things and how to see where the market is going. But if you don't understand why you're getting into the market, right? If you don't understand that you have to protect your capital and not risk everything to make this one massive trade that's going to set your family free, you're not going to make money consistently, right? Drop a 2 in the chat if you're here and learning the skill set of trading to make money consistently for the next, X amount of years, for the rest of your life, not just a one-time big trade, right? I'll drop a 1 as well because, or a 2, I said a 2, right? I'll drop a 2 as well because, trading is one of those skills that it will pay you. It can pay you. But if you don't do it the right way, it's not going to until you start changing some habits, right? The next thing on here is don't chase profits. Focus on taking good trades and not winning trades. All right, what does that mean? Focus on taking good trades and not winning trades. Right? Obviously, in our ideal world, we would love to win every single trade. I would love to win every single trade. That would make us feel good, right? We know that if we place a trade today, if we place a trade tomorrow or next week, we're going to win that trade. That you're going to feel pretty good, right? But if you place a trade and it loses, right, and then you place another trade and you lose, does that feel good? No, probably not, right? But with trading, like I said before, is in trading, you will take some losses on your trades, right? But again, our job is to protect our capital as traders, right? And chasing profits This means that, let's say you have the perfect setup. You followed all of your rules. You have your proper risk management in place, which we'll get into as well, right? You have all the confirmations, the market came to your zone, it executed properly, the way everything is supposed to move, right? And the market still goes against you, and now you have a losing trade, right? What chasing profits means, and what you don't want to do, is get back into the trade, right? Thinking that, now we have a better entry, we could try this again and get back in, and then you lose again, right? You have to take a step back, analyze, look at what's going on in front of you, what is the market trying to tell you, and then execute a good trade. Right? Don't just get in because you think the market's going to go a certain direction. That's one of the biggest mistakes that I've made, multiple times in my journey, is just thinking, oh, it went against me. I could get back in here. It's a better price. I have a better risk to reward management here. And now the market keeps going against me, keeps going against me, keeps going against me. And then I just lost all of the money that's in my account. Right? It happens. Sometimes you have to go through that. Sometimes that's the way that you learn. But that's not what we're here to do. We're here to make sure that we analyze the market. We understand why we're getting in. We understand that we have a stop loss and a take profit set before we take the trade, right? And we understand why we're getting into the trade. Why is it that I press buy, or why is it that I press sell? Is it because everything's aligning? I followed my strategy. I followed my trading plan. I'm only trading on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? Or are you just entering a trade because you think it's a good idea? Right? That's when you start to gamble. When you think it's a good idea to get into the market, when you think this is a possible trade, when you think, you don't want to think. You want to break down the market, analyze, see what's in front of you, and take proper, good trades, good high probability setups. Right? And the next thing here, you have to accept that losing is part of the game. Right? And even the best of the best lose. If you look in the signals chat, right? On average, every single week inside of the signals chat, we've done about 80 to 87% win rate every single week, right? For the last 2 months. Even the best educators, the best traders inside of the signals chat that are giving us trade ideas, that are sending these signals, they are still taking losing trades sometimes, right? They're here to educate you and help you to understand how the market is, where the market is going, how the market operates, when to get in, when to get out of the market. But sometimes what happens is you will take a losing trade, right? So just because you took a loss, just because you lost some money in your account, right? Focus on the next setup. Don't think, oh, I wasn't able to, I didn't want to lose that trade, or, it sucks that I lost that trade. It will happen, right? Even to the best of the best. So don't gamble when you're trading. We want to protect our capital, and we are managing our risk properly, right? And what we have to do is we have to detach our emotions from our trading, right? Fear and greed are your biggest enemies, right? That's the reason why a lot of people lose a lot of money. Number one is fear, the fear of missing out, the fear that, like I said in the beginning, is Bitcoin just went to all-time high. We hit $126,000 US, and now is the time to buy because we're going to continue to 150,000. I can make that little bit of profit right there if I get in now. Right now, what happens? Bitcoin just dropped to 62,000 the other day. I think we're sitting around 65, 66,000 right now. If you would have bought in at the top, you would be down over 50% of your investment. Right, let that sink in. If you bought Bitcoin at 126,000, thinking it's going to 150 or 200, maybe even, right, you would be down more than 50% on your account. Rather than understanding where we're at in the market, understanding that we just, broke through new all-time highs, what's actually happening in the market, what's going on around us in the world as well, and then realizing that maybe now is not the best time to buy Bitcoin. Maybe there's better opportunities out there where we can buy it. Right. And then greed is just, oh, you want more. I want to make more money. I need to get in. Now's the time. This is the trade that's going to help me make the most money. This is going to be $1,000 trade, $5,000 trade, $10,000 trade. Yeah, I've seen this happen many, many times. There's an individual that I know. I'm not going to name him. Um, he's somebody that's close to me. He buys a lot of silver, right, and a lot of gold. And when gold hit all-time high of $5,500, right, and silver hit $130 US, he was buying more and more and more and more. And I told him, maybe now is the time where you should sell off some of that silver, right? Take some profit and wait for a better time to buy in, because at some point the market can't keep going up, right? That's another thing, is at some point the market has to go down. Right? If the market only went up, there would be, there would be no issue in that you keep buying. We would always be making money, but that's not the reality. Reality is the market will go up and the market will go down, and at some point it's going to hit the peak, or at some point it's going to hit the bottom, and then it's going to go the other way, right? And that's one thing you have to take out of your trading completely, is trading from fear that you missed out. I hope I didn't miss on the big move, and greed that you want to make more money. We're all here to make money, right? That's the whole goal with trading, is to help you guys make money. But if you're just chasing the market, if you're hoping that you're going to make money, getting in just because you think now is the best time, think is one of the words that we have to completely take out. Right? We can't think. We have to analyze, be smart, and make a proper, educated guess on the market. Right? A high probability setup. Fear, it leads to hesitation or panic selling. Right? Hesitation, where it's like, oh, I don't want to lose that money. Oh, I should sell because otherwise I'm going to be left with nothing. Right? And then you get out too early, right? Or you get out too late, and then the market goes against you, right? And greed causes you to overtrade or to hold your positions too long, right? Who here has ever been in a trade where you think this is going to be the next one that's going to go all the way up, and then it goes up for a little bit, and then it crashes right down to your stop loss, right? I've had that happen. We've all had that happen. If you haven't, then you know take the proper precautions and close some of your trade, put your stop loss to break even. There's no harm in moving your stop loss to at least break even, where you're making $0, right? If the market goes against you, or it goes in your direction and then falls back down and goes against you, the worst thing that you can do is not move your stop loss up into profit, right? Because you can change that. Your stop loss is not a set stop loss that it has to stay at that price. You can move it up or down depending if you're buying or selling in the market, to be able to move your stop loss in profit, so that if the market goes against you, which sometimes it does, that way you are still cashing out on some profit or going break even, and you don't have to lose any money. Right? Revenge trading, we talked about it, chasing the market, hoping to get back in at a better price. You think the market's going to go your direction. It has to go up. It has to go up. It has to go up. No, the market can do what the market wants to do. Right? And don't get attached to a trade position or bias. Sometimes what will happen is, we're going to take a look at this as well on the real chart after, but you can be so right that the market is going in a certain direction, that we're trending higher or we're trending lower, and the market goes and creates a new low or a new high, right? Sometimes what will happen is the market will reverse, right? We talked about this, that at some point the market has to go the other direction, right? Just because your bias is that the market's going up It could go up, but it might go down first, right? This is why it's important to have a strategy, follow your trading plan, understand why you're getting into a trade, not just because, oh, you think the market is going up, right? Patience and discipline. Don't take trades just to take a trade, right? Sometimes the best trade is no trade at all. Yeah, I'll read that again. Don't take trades just to take a trade. Sometimes the best trade is no trade at all. Right? Sometimes the best thing that you can do in trading is mark up a chart, right? You see, okay, this is where I think the market's going. This is the strategy I have in place. This is, where I believe the market's going with all the tools and all the knowledge that I have. But maybe I should just hold off on this because I don't 100% feel confident in taking this trade. Right? If you don't feel the trade is right for you to take, maybe just hold off on that trade. Right? There's no shame. Nobody's going to put you down that you didn't take that trade. Right? What if the market goes against you? Now you saw, okay, the market went against me. You reanalyze, you see why did it go against me, and then analyze the market again. You wait for the next high probability setup. You follow your trading plan, you follow your strategy, and then you enter off of that. Right? This is why sometimes trading on a demo account is not a bad thing. There's times where, even for myself in the last year, where I've taken a step back from a live account, I went to a demo account just to go through the motions again. See, am I still on the right track? Right? There's no shame in going back to a demo account for maybe a week, maybe a month, just to try and figure it out again, right? Just to relearn and make sure you really 100% understand what it is that you're doing, right? Because at the end of the day, none of us are here to lose money, right? We don't want to lose money. We want to make money. But what is the best way to do that? Is to understand and make sure that you're patient, you're disciplined, you're following your trading plan. And then you're waiting for the high probability setups, making sure you have proper risk management in place, and then executing inside of our zones. All right, discipline is sticking to your strategy even when it gets repetitive and boring. This is something that, you know, over the last 3 years, trading smart money concepts, trading different strategies, using the inverse fair value gap scanner or Zona or different tools that I've had access to. It's one of those things where when you do something long enough, it gets boring, right? Because it's just repetitive. You're just waiting for the same thing. You're waiting for the market to come to your zone, and it can get repetitive and boring. Yeah, I'll be honest. Sometimes I'll be looking at the chart and just thinking, wow, there's really nothing that I can do here. I want to get into a trade, right? Because that's how we make money, is getting into a trade, but also understanding why, being patient, letting the market come to you. Right? Discipline, having patience is one of the most important things inside of trading. Because not every single day are you going to find this trade setup that you want to find. Right? With smart money, there's been times where I haven't taken a trade in a month or a week or a couple days, right? Because the trade setup is just simply not there. I don't feel confident. I don't see that this is the right setup. I don't think this is the right play. I'm going to wait a little bit. And sometimes those trades have been the ones that have paid off the most. Right? Being patient and disciplined. Embrace your losses as learning. Right? Losses are like your tuition for trading. Right? Like, maybe what does that mean? It's every time you lose a trade, you're basically paying the broker, or you're paying the other people that are on the opposite end of your trade, right? Because for a trade to work, a trade is like a transaction, right? If you're buying, there has to be somebody on the opposite end that is selling. And if there's more buying pressure than selling pressure, the market is going to simply go up. Right? If there's more selling pressure than buying pressure, the market is going to go down. This is why if you look at your MetaTrader, when you take your next trade, you can actually see blue and red arrows showing when you got in your trade and when you got out of your trade, right? Or if you bought, it will show that you bought. If you sold, it will show that you sold. And basically meaning, let's say we took a buy on gold at $5,000, right? And we closed that trade in profit at $5,010, right? You will see a red arrow at 5,010 saying that you sold at that point. In reality, you didn't sell, you just closed your trade, right? But in order to close your trade, you have to do the opposite of what you did to get into the trade. So if you bought, you're selling to get your money, to get profit, right? So if you're losing trades, those losses are your tuition for trading. Basically, you're paying to get access to your trading, right? And always review your losing trades. Go back. This is why in the next part we're going to get into journaling and why that's important. Tracking all of your trades, what you're doing, why you got into your trades, how did you feel going into the trade? Did you follow your plan going into the trade? Or you want to review every single step of the way. Because that way you can go back, you can track, okay, this was a losing trade, this was a winning trade, this was a winning trade. What happened here? Why did I win these trades? I did the exact same thing and I lost here. What went wrong? Right? Because when we do have losing trades, something went wrong. We weren't looking at something. Maybe we got in too early. Maybe we got in too late. Something had to happen along the way. Maybe it was a step that you missed. Right? Always review not even just your losing trades, but all of the trades that you take. Right? Was the strategy bad? Sometimes you're gonna think to yourself, "Oh man, this strategy doesn't work. I've been using this strategy for so long. It just hasn't been working. It's a bad strategy." Then you go to the next strategy, and then you learn that strategy for a little bit, and it doesn't work out the way that you wanted it to, and you're like, "Oh man, this strategy doesn't work. It's a bad strategy." All right? These are all things that I've thought personally. It happens. The strategy is never at fault. You can use any strategy inside of trading. If you use it perfectly, you follow every single step, you can make money with that strategy, right? It's about, did you follow the strategy, right? Did you follow your rules? Did your emotions take over, right? Did you feel like it was going to continue going up? Did you feel like it was going to go down? Did you feel like you should stay in that trade? Never trade on your emotions, right? We want to stay unattached to the outcome, but attached to the process. Meaning, whether we win or lose a trade, we don't want to let that affect us in a negative way or in a proud way where now we're like, oh, I can take every trade. I just won that trade. I can do whatever I want. Stay unattached to the outcome and just follow the process. Do the same thing over and over and over again. Right? If you're you're taking a lot of losses, you're not following your strategy. Now it's time to change something. But if you follow your strategy flawlessly and you stick to your parameters, you stick to your confirmations, you make sure everything is set up every single time, over a period of time, you will start to make money from it. It's just going to take some time, right? All good things take time. It wasn't overnight that I was able to get on these calls and teach about trading. It wasn't overnight where I was able to make money from trading. Right? We all start somewhere, but we have to understand that it's a process. It's going to take time to make money. Not just make money, but consistent profits, right? Taking consistent trades, following consistent your strategy consistently. And these are all important things, but embrace your losses as learning curves, right? Understand that just because you lost doesn't mean that that was a bad trade. Doesn't mean that you're a bad trader. It just means you have to tweak something. Maybe there was something that you missed. Maybe you got in too early, right? There's all different kinds of things. And maybe sometimes it was just simply that the market wanted to do something different. It went against you, right? It happens. And then journal everything. You want to keep a trading journal. This is something that's very important for everybody, is to keep a journal, whether it's on paper, you have a separate notebook where you put every single trade in there. You put your entries, your exit points, right? Your reason for the trade, the strategy you used, all your confirmations on that strategy as well, your emotions before, during, and after a trade. Usually when you see and when you follow this and you write all these things down, how did I feel before the trade? I felt really good about my trade because I followed the steps, every single step flawlessly on the strategy. I understood that I had to wait for the market to get to a certain point. It got to that area, it reacted the way that I wanted it to react. Then I entered with proper risk management. I put my stop loss where it was supposed to be. I put my take profit where it was supposed to be. I used a proper lot size, right? I felt good about the trade. During the trade, right? Did the market go in your direction? Did it not go in your direction? Maybe it went down first. Maybe your emotions at that time was, I don't know if this is going to hit my take profit. I think I might lose this trade. Right? Maybe then it goes up a little bit back into profit. You're like, I feel good about this trade now again. Right? It's going the way that I want it to. It's going in the right direction. And then the market goes against you again a little bit. You're like, I don't know about this trade anymore. And then the market goes and hits your take profit. How do you feel after the market hits your take profit? You probably feel really good. Right? I followed my trading plan. I felt good about the trade when I entered the trade. During the trade, maybe it was a little bit rocky. I wasn't sure if it was going to hit my take profit or not. But then in the end, it did hit your take profit and you felt good. Right? All of these emotions, they play a part in how you trade. Right? What I like to do is if I'm taking a setup, that's going to take sometimes the setup, the longest setup I've taken, by the way, just so you guys can understand why patience and discipline is such an important thing, why we touched on that as well, is the longest trade that I have taken. I waited 3 months for that trade to play out. I bought Bitcoin, I think it was about 75,000, and I had closed it in profit at $98,000. Took about 2 months to get there, but when it did, when it was finally over, it felt good because I understood what I was doing. I followed the trading plan. I followed everything that I needed to do. In between, there was some emotions, right? There was definitely some emotions there, but I set the trade. Sometimes I didn't even look at it. There was days where I was like, you know what? Bitcoin's doing its thing. I'm not even going to look at what the trade is at. When it finally hit the take profit, that felt good, right? But sometimes the trade will hit stop loss and it won't feel so good. Write everything down, everything that you're feeling, everything that you're doing with your trade, the outcome, the lesson, what you learned, what you could do better for next time. Why did I get into the trade? Where was my entry? What was my exit? What was my risk for that trade? Everything that you can think of, write it down in your journal. You can use a spreadsheet. If you guys want a spreadsheet, you can message me after this call and I will get you that spreadsheet. And if you want to do it on paper, write it down on paper, journal it, right? Write everything down, everything that you're doing. It's one of the best things that you can do because now you can keep track on every single thing that you did, everything that happened in the trade, how you felt, all these things, and go back and see, okay, how did that trade play out? And over a period of time, you're going to have all these different trades. You're going to see out of the month, let's say I took 15 trades out of the month. You know, five of them I felt really good. Five of them I was unsure. Five of them I was like, I don't even know why I'm in this trade. Right? But you wrote everything down, your trading plan, everything that you did. You're going to see why certain trades won, why certain trades lost, and why maybe you should be a little bit more patient for other trades. Right? This is all things to help you grow, help you learn how to become a profitable trader. Right? A profitable long-term trader. We don't want to be a short-term trader where we make $5,000 today or $10,000 today. Right? We want to be long-term profitability for everybody. Consistency over brilliance. Right? You don't need to be a genius to trade. Right? You just need to repeat good decisions, manage risk, and be patient. Right? You don't need to understand everything. You don't need to know every single strategy that's out there. You have to follow one good strategy and repeat it daily. Even if you don't take trades daily, mark up the chart, see what's happening, see how the market reacted from this area. Just repeat good decisions, manage your risk, and be patient. Let the market come to you. Right? The market, sometimes it will take a couple days. Sometimes it will take an extra 5 minutes or 15 minutes. We just have to be patient. And a mediocre strategy executed consistently and with discipline will outperform a great strategy executed emotionally. What does that mean? Right? A strategy that you might think, maybe this isn't the best strategy out there. It's a decent strategy, but if you execute it consistently, you follow all of the rules, all of the steps, you're disciplined, you're not chasing trades, you're not entering early or late, you're doing all of the right things consistently, you will outperform the best strategies that are out there. Right? All the great strategies that you can search up and find, you will outperform them 9 times out of 10. Right? Because you're consistent and you're disciplined. Stay grounded in reality. Right? Inside trading, I've said this a few times already, but there is no guarantees in the market that you're going to make money. Right? That you're going to win this trade, or this is going to be the next trade that's going to make 1,000 pips. Right? It's not guaranteed. You have to avoid unrealistic expectations. Set real expectations. Understand that sometimes there will be losses. There's more things that I can learn. There's more things that I have to do. I have to be more consistent. All these different things. The reason why there's educators that have been educating for 10, 15, 20 years and they're making a lot of money is not because they're better than you. It's because they follow a trading plan and they are consistent with that trading plan and they've been doing it a little bit longer. All right, so don't compare your chapter one. If this is your first day, maybe this is your first hour inside of Primeverse and Revolt. Maybe you're in year 5. I'm not sure where everybody is at inside of their trading journeys, but don't compare your chapter one to someone else's chapter 25 because you have no idea how long, how consistent, all the things that they've done wrong in the past, all the things that they've done right. You have no idea what their journey looks like to get to that point. So don't compare. Right? Comparison, it steals your joy. Right? You look at somebody, you're like, oh man, I wish I was like that person. Like they took the same trade and that I took, I made $10 and they made $25,000. Why can't it just go my way? Why can't I just make money like that? Right? Isn't they're on a different path than you are. Right? One day you will get there, but if you quit, if you stop trading now, if you stop staying consistent, if you stop staying disciplined, I guarantee you that you will never see the results that these educators and these other people are seeing. Right? But if you stay consistent, you stay disciplined, you follow your trading plan for the next 10, 15, 20 years, you will start to see those increases in your trading, your winning trades, the amount of money you're making inside of your trading, right? It is just going to take some time. I've been in the industry of trading and network marketing and crypto and all these different avenues, learning to make money online, looking at the charts, understanding the markets for about 9 years now. And the biggest thing that I understand and that I still look at today is I am still learning every single day. I've made a lot of money inside of trading. I've lost a lot of money inside of trading. But the one thing that I don't do is I don't compare myself to anyone and I just focus on the next setup. I focus on what I can control. I can't control what somebody else does. I can't control what you guys do on your trading accounts. I can only control what I'm going to do today. Am I going to follow my trading plan or am I just going to hope that the market goes in my direction? Right? Am I going to stay disciplined? Am I going to stay consistent? Or is this something that I'm going to try and hopefully it works out? I'll do it maybe once or twice a week. Right? This is something that you have to do daily, not take a trade daily, right? But learning daily, learning from educators, right? This is the last step. The last thing I want to leave you guys with today is go through Primeverse, go through the basic education, go through the intermediate education, go through the advanced education, go and learn from people who have what you want. Because I guarantee you, all of those people, they have been where you are right now. Nobody started trading and just figured it out on day one. It took time. It took, sweat and tears. Maybe there's days where you've wanted to give up. I guarantee you there's days where I've wanted to give up. Where I remember in my first couple months, I thought I had everything figured out. I had put $2,500 into a trading account, and within 2 days, I had grown that account to $1,000 more. So I had $3,500 in my account. And then very next day, I lost the entire account. All $3,500 gone. You think that made me feel good? No, but it's something that I learned from. I understood why that happened, and I understood that I will not do that same mistake again. Right? I went back to the basics. Going back to the basics is the best thing that you can do is understand the foundation of trading. What is the foundation that you built on? Is it hope? Is it a dream that you want to be a trader? Or are you going through the education, learning everything you can possibly learn on how to be a better trader daily? Right? Find an educator, a strategy, a scanner, something or somebody that you want to learn from inside of Primeverse. Right? Maybe some of you want to learn from Cohen. Maybe some of you want to learn from Mark or from Donnie or from me or from somebody else. Right? Find an educator that you want to learn from and learn from them. Be on their live sessions, ask questions, follow their trading plan, follow their strategy, follow everything that they do. And I guarantee you, at some point, you're going to start to see results. Right? If you follow a strategy, whether that's smart money or it's something different, where it's a scanner, maybe it's Zonar or the inverse fair value gap scanner. If you stick with it long enough, at some point you are going to see results. right? But if you bounce back and forth, if you're trying to do a million different things and you want to do every single scanner and every single educator and every single strategy, I guarantee you, you're going to get confused, right? There's going to be things where you don't understand why they're doing this or why this is happening or why the market's doing this. And you're looking at all these different things and nothing's making sense. It's because you're looking at too much information, right? Follow one, maybe two educators, maybe one strategy, focus in on that strategy and maybe a scanner and stick with that. Right. And then journal everything for the next 30 to 90 days. Journaling is so important. Right. We touched on that already. And then the last actionable step I want to leave you guys with is teach what you have learned to someone else. The best way that you can learn even more is by teaching. Right? Even when I didn't understand what I was doing, and when I first got started in trading, I pretended like I knew what I was doing and I was trying to teach everybody I could. I asked Donnie, I asked Tommy, I was like, can you just sit here and let me explain this to you? And if it makes sense, good. If it doesn't, help me. Right? I want to understand. I want to teach this forward to somebody else. And that way I can learn from my mistakes. I can learn from what I'm trying to teach you. That's one of the best ways that you can learn how a strategy works, how to be a better trader, how to be disciplined, how to do all of these things that we touched on today. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions in the chat box? You guys can drop that now. If you guys have any questions, I'm very happy to answer those for you guys. But trading is one of those things where it's going to take time, guys. I'm not going to promise you that you're going to make $1 million because realistically, it's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next week. It might not even happen for the next 5, 10 years for some of you. It might not even happen for me in the next 5, 10 years. I haven't hit $1 million. But if we quit, it will never happen. Does anybody have any questions? Let me open the chat box here. I don't see any questions here yet. All right, so we are coming up on the hour, so we are going to stop it there for today. But what I do want to say before we jump off, starting this week on Thursday, this will be weekly at Thursday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be educating for Primeverse. I have just got hired on to be an educator for them, and we're going to be covering smart money concepts basics. And I have a boot camp that I've already planned out for you guys. We're going to cover all different kinds of things, why the market moves the way that it moves, um, learning different concepts like liquidity and fair value gaps and all these different things. We're going to go into depth and make sure that we all understand what that is, how it works, and very thankful for the opportunity with Primeverse to be able to do that for you guys. And yeah, starting Thursday this week will be my first session. So if you guys want some more information on smart money, we're actually going to take a look at charts and analyze how the strategy works, what all entails, and yeah, we're just going to have a great time on these sessions every single week. And we're also going to be back every single Tuesday as well, except for next week on Tuesday. We're gonna have to cancel that session just because I will be flying back from Orlando. So next week, Tuesday, we will not have a session, but we will have a session on Thursday inside of Primeverse. So if you're not inside of Primeverse yet and you want to get access, reach out to me and we'll get you access. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, I see Queen Bee, you said you have a question. I was about to ask that question. Which question was that? But yeah, very excited to be an official educator for Primeverse and bring you guys even more value. Not just once a week, but twice a week. And we're just gonna have a fun time, like I said, learning the strategy even more, helping you guys, understand what smart money is, how to find liquidity, and all these different things, and to trade how the banks trade really is what smart money is, right? Institutional trading, the education. Okay, yeah. So twice a week on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 Eastern, and then on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern time. So those are the official times for the sessions. I think it's already on the Mighty app as well. Let me just take a look at this here. Share my screen again. Take a look and see. It should be on Primeverse already underneath educators. And there you will find the link and everything that you need to be able to join as well. So if we go in here, go to live sessions, you can see all the educators there. And then Thursday, 26th at 8 p.m. If you come in here, you can say going or not going. There will be a Zoom link here as well that you guys can access. And yeah, we're going to have an amazing time. And I don't want to keep you guys too much longer, but hopefully you guys enjoyed today's session. Hopefully you guys learned something. These are all things that I've picked up over the last almost 4 years now, being inside of trading, taking it seriously, and learning from Donnie and all these other great educators. And there's a lot that there is to learn, but take it step by step. Take it daily, and you just do what you can to be a little bit better every single day, right? If you grow 1% a day and you get better 1% a day, that's 365% a year. You're over three times better than you were to start the year. So just grow a little bit more every day. And I do have another question here. Do you think it's possible to be profitable using a smaller account like $50 or $100? I 100% think you can. 100%, because I've done it. you know, I've seen multiple people do it. And if you do the right things and follow what we talked about today, follow your trading plan, follow the strategy, make sure you're disciplined, make sure you're consistent, understand everything that you're doing, why you got in the trade, why you got out of the trade, you can 100% be profitable with $50 or $100. You don't need $100,000 or $1 million to trade with. You just need to be consistent and disciplined. I hope that answers your question. But with that being said, guys, we're going to wrap up this session. We're closing in on the hour here. Hopefully, you guys all enjoyed and got some value for today. And I will see you guys all on Thursday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But until then, peace.